Frank Malakote.
Hi, I'm Joe Venuti.
We're the 10 o'clock news gang here at WB56, and we'd like you to check out Larry Seaman, Around the Town with Larry on your local cable access channel. See you there.
We're covering part 2 of our visit to Boston's WB56. Last time we had an opportunity to talk with the two primary news anchors at the station, Frank Malakote and Karen Marinella. Today's first interview is with weekend meteorologist and science reporter Joe Venuti. Now, prior to working with WB56, Joe worked as a Weather Services Chief Operations Director, a researcher at MIT and U.S. Geophysics Lab, and in TV stations in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and Portland, Maine. Tell us a little bit of your background.
I was basically born and lived here in New England most of my life. I grew up around the Boston area, and the only time I went away from the area was when I went to a graduate school out of Penn State. But went to high school around here, went to University of Lowell to get my undergrad in meteorology, and then went and got my master's in meteorology at Penn State. I lived in a few other places during the time in college doing some traveling around, doing some research, and it only made me know that I wanted to come back to New England that much more. So when I was done with grad school, I came back here, found a job. Actually didn't really know I wanted to get into TV until I was almost towards the end of my bachelor's at U Lowell. I had a friend who lived in Billerica, Mass. He ran camera at the local cable TV station, and he says, "Hey, they need somebody to do the weather. Can you fill in?" And I was like, "I don't want to do stuff. I was just going to be strictly research." And I did it for him for a week. I got bitten by the bug, so to speak, and from that point on, I just tried to work my way back into the.
I'm looking for your not idol, but mentor or whatever. Somebody, yeah.
I'd have to say it was the man I interned with. I got to intern with a couple of really classy guys, go way back. One, his name is Bob Copeland, and over at Channel 5. And through him, I got to meet somebody, his name is Don Kent, who basically started it all back in BZ. So if some of the old timers out there, I got to meet him, work with him, especially Bob. And Bob retired. After Bob retired, really showing me the nuts and bolts of the whole, not only just the TV side of it, but just the way they used to do weather without satellite, without computers. I mean, you're going back to when they just used to write on a chalkboard. Right. So I got to know and not to have to rely on computers. They're good, but sometimes they can mislead you. So it was nice to have that background. And then after that, after Bob retired, I was able to intern with Harvey Leonard too. So I'd have to say Bob Copeland and Harvey Leonard were my two biggest mentors.
Now, what would you say is the biggest influence in weather? Is it like the, I don't know, the winds, or what is it that you feel as if creates weather the most?
It depends on what part of the world you're in. Even in New England, I'd have to say the ocean. The ocean is one of the biggest factors, and it's only been over the last 20 or 30 years that oceanographers and meteorologists have gotten together and realized, hey, you got this big ocean out there, a lot of moisture, a lot of capacity to hold heat and all kinds of things, and it's such a big influence, whether it's a winter storm, where that rain snow line is going to be, or whether it's going to be like a day like tomorrow where it's going to be 90 across interior sections and it's going to be 60 at the coast. It's such a big influence. So I'd have to say the ocean without a doubt here in New England. With
all this equipment, it's still hard to predict the weather. What causes that?
Yeah, well, I've depending on what station I've been at, I've always been made fun of, because usually right before the show, I like to go outside and just take a look at the sky, what's going on, because a computer can only do so much. It can help us, it can aid us in things, not only from weather but day-to-day life, but a computer was built by humans. We're fallible, we make errors, and so they make fun of me because I have like $70,000-$80,000 worth of equipment here, and I go and I open the door and look outside.
If there's a big storm or something like that comes in the area, you probably are here. You probably have a cot in the back room.
Yeah. We actually do. Mike has a cot. The chief meet Mike Wonkum. He has a cot back there with a blanket. And there were a couple storms when we're here, and you have to be here to do the updates, whether it's severe weather, a thunderstorm, or whether it's a snowstorm. But
well, there's never a dull moment around here. That's for sure, and especially the last 3 or 4 years between the Patriots and the Red Sox, we've had just a couple of things going on in Boston. So when you say how does it feel, boy, it feels pretty darn good. It's a lot of fun, and you can't help but have fun with what we're doing up here.
Give us a little bit of a perspective on covering sports, especially in the Boston area. It must be great, like you were mentioning, the Red Sox and the Patriots and stuff like that. Do you have a camera person with you all the time, and do you still go out and do the stories?
Yes, absolutely. And do we have a camera person with me all the time? No. There are nights where we don't have a camera person available to go over to Fenway Park or wherever it might be. But that doesn't stop me from going over there and trying to, get some inside information on some things. And just to be around the club sometimes is good. Now, if I'm going over there for something specific to try to grab, a player or two or post-game or pre-game or things like that, then yes, we will have a photographer. And most of the time we will do that. We will have the photographer to go over there. But it's just good to be around, whether it's Fenway or the Garden or Foxborough or wherever it might be, to just sort of be a part of the action. From the editorial standpoint to the editing process to the content to making the phone calls that you need to make to check and double check things, it's a process that keeps things going right up until the show. I mean, and everything's live, so there are things that are happening right up until the time we get out of there. There are sometimes producer will follow me out here, and we're still making decisions and shifting and papers going right before we come out for the show.
Drives your adrenaline.
Yeah, like I said, like I started, never a dull moment. There's always something to keep things going, and that's what makes it exciting. And again, you will always have excitement when it comes to sports in Boston.
Excellent. I'm excited, I'll tell you that much. Thank you, Mike.
All right, pleasure.